We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble, the weekend camo bathrobe edition. Who exactly killed altcoins the last 2 weeks? Was it Bitcoin? Are Bitcoin maxis enjoying that a little bit too much? I think so. We're going to go over news that's going to help you see the hidden value in altcoins as an asset class, because undoubtedly you're asking yourself, "Oh my god, what about my bags?" Like, my bags are down, and I am going to help you figure out there is a 3-part process on your bags. First, do you love it? Do you absolutely love it? Do you remember why you bought it? If the answer is yes, then the next step is talk to your accountant. If your accountant challenges you on why you love it and you could convince him to not tax loss sell it, then I think you might be in good shape long term. I also think you want to take a look at layer ones and anything that's new, because the US government, we got some different form of news articles I pulled out this morning. It's actually, done some press releases prior to the altcoin mess that shows just how committed the administration is to getting things done, right, when it comes to crypto and Web3. XRP took off recently off the Trump announcement that he means business on getting US semiconductor production back in the United States. Okay, that breathed life into Intel, and that's created a bid in XRP, and probably will continue to create a bid in any of the Made in America cryptos. If you do not have Made in America cryptos in your portfolio, you are not thinking clearly. All right, let's welcome who's here before we go into the news and the details of this rare weekend stream. So, a schedule announcement. We will be live today and tomorrow, right? We will not be live on, I believe, Tuesday and Wednesday for business travel. Okay, so enjoy the weekend stuff while you can. Anybody who can't tune in during the week, I hope you turn it in for the camo bathrobe edition. Diogo, Taz Pinball, what's going on? Right? Zapadas, Roby, Carmenko, Alexandra, good morning. Good morning, good evening. Every time Alexandra wakes up or sits down, it's like, hey, Bill Noble's live. Never stop talking here. Joe, what's going on? Could you please cover XRP? Dude, we're covering XRP. XRP is about to lead the whole market again. Everybody gave up on altcoins, dude. It's XRP. Mitchell, Hornet 919, Devin, Old Smoky, Michelle. No, it's not an urgent update. Not an urgent update at all. It's just a chill weekend edition instead of doing stuff during the week. Thin Bazaar says, how many presidents will rug us? Oh my God. Hopefully none. Finally able to catch you live. Tio Savage, Crypto Scam, Devin, Zav, Flo, right? Some new names here. Okay. Okay. Uchilla says, because of you, I have cold storage now. Good for you. Just wanted to say thanks for all the time you put into the updates and the Kaizen podcast, which I would encourage you. I appreciate that. Okay. What do we got here? U.S. credit card debt reaches new all-time high of $1.21 trillion. Okay. Now, what exactly does this mean? Let's just break it down. There's two ways to look at this. The first way to look at this is this just an obvious way of showing you, in a weird way, that people want to dump the dollar, right? In other words, everyone goes, oh, U.S. credit card debt is at an all-time high in the economy and the stock market. Everything's going to crash. Oh, my God. It's 2008 all over again. Remember like grumpy old man stuff I used to do a long time ago? Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore. Not doing that. Okay. Instead, people are dumping the dollar. Dump the dollar, get goods. Dump the dollar, get a TV. Dump the dollar, have an experience. Dump the dollar, go to Portugal, whatever. Just dump the dollar. Borrow the dollar from the banks at whatever stupid interest rate. And if you can't pay it, you can't pay it. But just dump the dollar. That's what's going on here. In other words, what's the difference between what's going on credit cards and what's going on Pump.Fun? People are like, I got to do something different. I don't know what to do, but I'm going to dump the dollar via credit cards and I'm going to do Pump Fun. It's like we're like birds. The magnetic field has changed and we're going to go and we're going to migrate south. We're going to like buy a stereo and buy a meme coin. We don't know why. We just know the magnetic field of the dollar is pushing us somewhere. That's how I read this. Okay. All these doomsayers that are calling for like, I mean, yeah, you're going to have equity market disturbances, right? Because they're living in fantasy land, right? And this could create a bank disturbance. But I think the bigger problem with banks, as one of my colleagues says, is can a bank adopt crypto? If a bank can't adopt crypto, it's toast. Really. So dump the dollar. Dump fiat. Dump it, dump it, dump it. Now, some good news and some bad news. The Coinbase CEO predicts 10% of global GDP will be on crypto rails by 2030, yet the latest listing on that exchange is what? Popcat? Come on, man. Now, I know they got a lot of tech stuff trading on crypto, but, you know, we got this guy also engaged in some major cringe. I don't know if I have it here about, you know, they're sponsoring a Formula One team. Oh, please don't. Please don't. I mean, yes, I do think it's cool. I probably will go online and try to buy a little replica of the Coinbase car. I admit it. I like Formula One. But dude, okay, yeah, here comes Eagle King with the tweet. Okay. You know, again, on a casual weekend edition, you know, it's like, Brian, less Formula One, more listing of base projects, right? Like, don't just list it because, oh, it's super profitable for you. List it because Web3 is good for everybody. Okay? Please, Brian, please give us a break. Okay, the president of Argentina. We got to get this out of our system. This is so bearish. I hate this. Okay, so along with Formula One, apparently we have this president of Argentina who's like a total legend. He's going to be a legend in economics. He's like, hi, I'm the new president of Argentina. Here's the economics book, and I'm going to open it up, read it. Oh, look, let's have smaller government, lower taxes, and let's encourage business. Okay. Closes the book, does it, becomes a hero, and then becomes jealous of the orange man, issues a meme coin, which goes kind of Haktua, right? The meme coin kind of gets nuked, and he just wants to go back and act like that's okay. I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope none of this is true. I really hope none of it's true. Because you know what? Sometimes I think this market started to get meh when Haktua came along. I haven't matched up the dates exactly. I mean, I know we had the inauguration fury, but I hate stuff like this. I hate it. Okay. Back in 399 BC, Socrates was, you know, got a very harsh sentence for getting people, right, to think for themselves, right? Corrupting the youth of Athens, okay? Pushing people of Athens to question their beliefs through dialogue. You got to think for yourself, and you got to be a sovereign individual. We got to stop thinking about the market as a top and start thinking about the market as a bottom. The reason I bring up all the cringe and the stuff that the doomsayers bring up is because, honestly, I think you just got to ignore it, right? I think we got to ignore it and focus on the positive, because you know what? Whatever the Bitcoin maximalists, when the Bitcoin maximalists are laughing at us about what happened to our altcoin bags, then it's time to turn it around. Or it's time for one final push lower, you know, in alts, or one final outperformance of Bitcoin before XRP and ETH lead us out of the hole. And yes, I just said the word ETH, right? ETH is going to lead altcoins out of the hole. In the initial 2 weeks of trading, Michael Saylor's preferred stock is the best performing and most liquid perpetual preferred security. Interesting little tidbit that I'm sure people were not aware of, right? People still want MicroStrategy or strategy related debt instruments in order to get exposure to Bitcoin. Again, what is wrong with the currency? Dump fiat currencies. Dump them. Fun fact, less than 7% of the global population is invested in crypto. Can you imagine when people figure it out and Web3 is also involved? That headline combined with this. So this is actually a US government website where they did a press release where it says, you know, Scott, an administration official, says Congress Trump administration committed to securing U.S. leadership in digital assets. Now, I mean, it's one thing when Cointelegraph or something like covers the story, right? But it's another thing when you get it off like an official U.S. government website, like the Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee. Okay. You got to think, and I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again, right? I'm going to come off the screen share and say this. Robert Kennedy has recently been confirmed as a health official in the U.S. government. So for anybody who's not in the United States, in order to get somebody in a high-profile job in the administration, a president has to nominate them, and the Parliament or Congress or Senate has to approve them, right? So you can't just put, your brother-in-law in a job. So what they did was they nominated Robert Kennedy, right, as part of the deal for his support when he was a presidential candidate. They're going to make him in charge of the National Institute of Health. And why does that matter? Well, here's why. Robert Kennedy has been suing the government and fighting drug companies and food companies and pesticide companies in court and winning for decades. And here's what's going to happen. Robert Kennedy is going to fire all the scientists at the National Institute of Health because they are all either corrupt, have conflicts of interest, or whatever. They're gone. Then he's going to bring in new scientists who are going to sit around and do studies on, was this food additive bad for the American people? It's banned in Europe, but it's okay here. All right. Well, if we did a study here that says it's bad for you, and then we did a study on a pesticide, and then we did a study on medicine, what would happen? Okay. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to take these studies, they're going to unleash them on the army of worldwide trial lawyers, and we're going to let the courts decide whether or not people who were hurt by this are due compensation, which could actually put people out of business. Done. Right? No laws, no laws in Congress. No, and nobody has to sign anything. Nobody has to sign anything at all, right? The orange man wants, the orange man gets. What President Trump must do to stop the deep state from evading his full disclosure of the orders on JFK. Sharing screen. Now, you're probably wondering what this type of stuff has to do with crypto. Okay. The orange man was able to impose his will on Congress to get Robert Kennedy confirmed, because we know every congressman, okay, is, throughout history has been supported by all these characters that do stuff that's not exactly healthy for you, right? Every time you open up your refrigerator, you're probably going to wind up seeing a hologram one day of Robert Kennedy going, "Don't eat that." Now, powers that be don't want the release of certain things that have been promised, right? Like what happened to Robert Kennedy's uncle, right? Or what happened with Bigfoot, or what happened with, you name it. You name it. We don't have to name them all. There's all this stuff that they've been hiding that's going to come out. All right. Again, what does this have to do with crypto? Okay. It has everything to do with crypto, because if the orange man can continue to impose his will, that's why his meme coin popped 40%. If he can continue to impose his will, he will impose his will on crypto. Last night, there was breaking news that the Orange Man wants, like, instead of crypto committees, he wants crypto summits. He wants big events, right? Also, their czar last night came out and said, hey, don't underestimate us. We're going to bullpost crypto. So the more power Trump has, the more he can push, the more wins he gets, the bigger it's going to be when they finally come to crypto. Because in case you haven't noticed, they got layoffs in the government, layoffs in the banking sector, and layoffs in the tech sector. And people are going to have to find a way to protect themselves. That's at the individual level. And then at the government level, they're going to have to subsidize lending and tax breaks. They're going to have to subsidize lending and tax breaks to get Web3 going. I mean, I understand about your bags. I understand that everybody said, I'm dumping whatever and moving to Bitcoin. I get it. I get it. But the signs of a bottom are bigger than the signs of a top. And even if you have to deal with some stink, because everyone's going to start freaking out about NVIDIA earnings, that'll be the next BS that we have to listen to. Okay, this is happening, right? Meaning they want to go big, right? And they don't want to go big in just one coin, because what you can see here is the move is reportedly to avoid clashing with all the different crypto tribes. In other words, they don't want Algorand and Hedera and Cardano all fighting with each other to see who gets the attention. What they want to do is have a summit, I think, subsidize lending and make announcement that they're going to push sugar out to everybody. That's just a guess, right? But he doesn't want committees with people arguing based on what dimwits can do on crypto Twitter. He wants it broad-based, and he wants a big show, right? Remember, Trump builds hotels, casinos, skyscrapers, right? Supermodel wives, you get it, right? The bigger, the better. And they're telling you subtly, they're going big on crypto. Now, right now, all the Elon news is what's, if there's a problem in crypto, believe it or not, it's that Elon is sucking the news flow inadvertently or on purpose. Either way, he's not doing it to hurt crypto, but it's just whatever he's doing is just pulling all the attention, and all of crypto is a meme, right? Memes thrive on attention. Bitcoin is a meme for hard money. Bitcoin is hard money from a computer science point of view, but really the reason people FOMO into it is because of what it means, right? And crypto needs news flow. All markets need news flow to keep going. So if there's a problem with crypto, you have a little bit of excess, like Formula One cars and stuff like that, Michael Saylor renaming his company. Okay. But the problem with crypto is that the news flow is dominated by this guy. Now, when that's over, or when that news flow dies down and they have to start saying, okay, we saved money here. Now, where can we push money out somewhere else? Because you know what? The U.S. credit card borrowers aren't the only ones who want to dump the dollar. They're not the only ones, right? We're going to want to dump the dollar, as in saying, okay, we just saved this money. Now let's take this money, give tax breaks or write checks, subsidize loans, and get people building factories in America now. Like, for example, going back to Robert Kennedy, like, did you know that for every $1 million we spend on defense, we create 2 jobs? For every $1 million we spend on, like, say, childcare for moms, we create 18 jobs. This eventually will reach Web3, because we're either going to need Web3 because the government encourages it, or we're going to need Web3 that because whatever Elon does isn't good enough. Because one thing you have not heard from Elon, and I'm going to get really loud about this, is that you don't hear him wanting to go into the Fed. You don't hear him wanting to go. You heard him about the Treasury, but you haven't heard about the Fed. You haven't heard about Social Security, and you haven't heard about Medicare. Probably because they've told the president that if you go in there, if Elon goes in there and they find stuff that's so shocking, they could take everything down. Notice that they're not talking about that, right? It's like, oh, let's end the Fed. Let's end it. Let's end it. Let's put Ron Paul in charge. Yeah, and it stopped. Because the men in black went in there and opened up the folder and go, Mr. President, this is what's really going on at the Fed. And then no one said anything. So we'll see. Because I think if they ever went in there and showed everybody what's going on, right? Bitcoin would go to 200,000, like immediately. And I do think you have to start asking yourself, what happens when Bitcoin doesn't care about 100K anymore, right? When they don't care. Now, okay, this was from last night as well. This is President Trump's crypto czar, dated Valentine's Day at midnight. I happen to be on the air at the time. Some important announcements on digital assets are coming soon. Let's retweet this, right? Good morning. Coming soon. There we go. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Coming soon. They really, really, really need to get this going. They need to get it going. Now, when they do that, I don't know. Governments never move fast enough. I know it's Trump. I know it's cool. I know you like him. Maybe you like him. Maybe you don't. But if you like him, you want instant gratification. It's still government. It's still government, right? And one guy says, how many presidents are going to rug us? I don't know. I don't know if it's how many presidents are going to rug us. The question is how many governments are going to take, I don't know, 6 to 12 weeks to fold a piece of paper and stick it in an envelope and send it to you. I don't know. That probably will go on forever. It's the Department of Government Efficiency. It's not a miracle. They just got started. Okay, on a lighter note, the private sector continues to innovate. The SUI gaming console, the prototype is out. Oh my God. The Solana phone is supposed to be out in March, right? This kind of stuff for onboarding, right? Everybody's already forgotten. I'm glad the Trump coin actually started moving. And in a way, even though it's massive cringe, I'm glad the guy from Argentina tried it, although we don't think he understands, obviously, what happened. Okay. This type of stuff like Trump, like this thing and the Solana phone, bring in adoption, obviously, right? Getting this stuff into the hands of the public is happening. Now, is that fully priced into SUI right now? I don't know. I don't know. We can try to look at the chart later. I suspect it looks like everything else. It went up and then it went sideways and you're annoyed. But I think I have to keep the positive news flow coming, because the positive news flow versus the cringe, there's still more positive news flow. And even if you don't believe that, look at the credit card figures and be like, dump the dollar, dump it, right? The AI trade is Bitcoin because we're moving to like a new paradigm. We're moving to something new. Okay. Robinhood lists Pyth network. So it's funny that we have Robinhood listing tech-related companies. Interesting, right? I think this is already on Coinbase. So super interesting right there. Now, just a brief word. Charles Hodgkins makes fun of Bitcoin, a BitBoy, Ben Armstrong, for making fun of Cardano. Again, this is why the Orange Man wants a crypto summit. Okay, because making fun of Ben Armstrong is not a joke in good taste, Charles. Not good, because this guy is obviously in a state of distress, and we want to avoid hating on each other. Like, if we hate on each other and Trump is like, oh my God, these crypto dimwits, we have to do something different because of their behavior. President Trump and RFK plan to fire 5,000 federal employees today. Today. I have no idea what the unemployment offices are going to look like in Virginia, and you're probably, or Maryland, and you're probably wondering, why am I bringing this up again? Because rates have to come lower. So people are dumping the dollar via credit card debt. It's like, okay, you know what, banks? I'm going to take a loan from you, and when I pay it back, if I pay it back, I'm going to pay you back in a currency that's more worthless. I know that maybe gave you a headache. And then you're going to have massive unemployment. Massive. and rates have to come down. It's like, okay, Jerome Powell, you don't want to cut rates? No problem. It's data dependent. Okay. Here comes 5, 10,000 people at a time. This is unbelievable. Like the carnage, like people, I mean, the news media is going to cover this, right? This is when the media returns and starts fighting back against Trump. When you have, and I've talked about this, when you have sobbing people coming out of buildings, losing their jobs, but rates come down. Rates are too high. It's not the price of eggs that are too high, because last night I buried that story forever. It's interest rates that are too high. Okay, so I'm glad we have an influencer that's reputable. You can't always trust people. This guy pulled the rug out under John McAfee's widow, Janice, right? They were doing a promotion deal and he took their money, dumped the tokens, and backed out. I did a bunch of videos on it. One of them got retweeted or resent out by a guy named Hotep Jesus, if anybody knows who that is. We need our privacy. We need our sovereignty. And there are people who don't want that to happen. Isn't that funny? Right? We need to be sovereign individuals. We need to stop thinking about, this is me, like the negative news about crypto, and start asking yourselves, when are we going to work together? And what happens when we do? Right? I know my bags. I know everyone's wrecked. I get it. But when everyone's wrecked, that's when it's time to not just like zoom out. Everyone says that, right? Zoom out means, shut up. When someone says, when in doubt, zoom out. I know when you zoom out, when you get told to zoom out, it's like getting told to shut up. We don't want you to shut up. We want you to think, right? Think about getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? What happens when Web3 is not only huge, but necessary? Governments don't always do the right thing. They're probably going to help Web3. And even if they don't, rates are going to come down. The dollar is going to come down, because when they pop the hood on what's really going on in the world, people are going to be like, oh my God, I need Bitcoin now, which is why Coinbase and Robinhood are crushing earnings in the first part of the year or late last year because of the orange man. What happened recently will not go away. When crypto got everyone's attention, they still have everyone's attention, as in Goldman Sachs Asset Management, as in people who are out there realizing that, hey, right, altcoins went down and the Bitcoin maxis are having a laugh about that. But when this thing turns around and they need Web3 along with Bitcoin, or Bitcoin breaks through 120, and then certain sectors can reach escape velocity. In other words, one of the things that people aren't realizing is that possibly Bitcoin could be a bullish catalyst, right? The need for Bitcoin is so clear, and XRP is right along with it. So you're right. This is the part of the show where we start talking about XRP, right? XRP can help break the market out, right? Because that group of people, the reality of the XRP ETF is one step away. And I think I've also got something in here about XRP price analyst targets $8 off an ETF. Okay, so let's come off the screen share for just a minute and talk about XRP, because that's probably what you've been waiting for. So to state the obvious, XRP is made in America. XRP is backed by a company that has a business development arm. Now, here is a twofold process for a massive reversal to the upside in this market. 3 things. 1, Bitcoin through a certain level, like 115, right? Once people are no longer scared of 100K, that changes the price action in crypto and allows crypto to get loose. 2, there's XRP and there's Ethereum. And believe it or not, there could be a 2017 banana singularity in either XRP, ETH, or both. Now, let's go to the charts and talk about this. So here's XRP on a weekly basis. Okay. Very simple. Went up, came back, wicked lower, shared a screen. Okay. So XRP is headed back towards resistance at 330. But the most important thing is that when XRP went down, it didn't stay down. And to me, this does remind me a little bit of 2017. And I got the idea from somebody else, one of my colleagues, who said, people are looking for 2021, and what you should be looking for is 2017. And one of the hallmarks of 2017 on the way up was that you would go up, then you'd have these 40% wicks or these 40% crashes, and then it would turn around and start going back up again. And that's exactly what you have in XRP. So you could have a banana singularity in Bitcoin. You could, but it's more likely that a Bitcoin breakout is either in tandem with a gold parabolic, because that's the other thing I forgot, or it could be triggered by an XRP and, believe it or not, something insane happening in ETH. This week is a 9 bottom in ETH. Okay. Just looking at recent history, 9 bottom in ETH in September before the election, 6 weeks of chop and then straight to 4,000. 9 bottom in the abyss of September of 2023, like crypto winter, scary, disaster, horrible. Could not get one live stream a week out on my channel. Not one. One, but that was it. There's nothing to talk about after, FTX and then 1 year of this. Now, I ask you a very simple question. You know how I'm always talking about square ranges? What happens if this is a square range in ETH and you wake up one day and Goldman is involved in DeFi? So think about it, right? Just think about it. Coming off the screen share, right? Bitcoin breaks through a certain level. Ripple gets funding from the government directly. Goldman comes in and invests in ETH, or DeFi starts on ETH because some huge bank decides to get involved. Just remember, ETH and its layer 2 network are capable of handling like an infinite number of transactions. Infinite, right? And Polkadot, of course, Ethereum, and anything EVM compatible, right? EVM compatible expands ETH reach like Polkadot, right? This allows for a massive player to come in. And I don't know if it's BlackRock. If you go back to the screen share, right? Like I told somebody in one of my groups that they could get off the train and take profits in Ohm at $6. And now I feel like a total imbecile because this thing went beyond any target that I had. And went to $8. I mean, this was where I thought Ohm was going to stop, right here. That's like Fibonacci extension work. And Ohm went past what they call, I don't know, a 3618. I know guys talk about these things differently. People talk about it, the 3618 as like, that's how you project to move up. Ohm destroyed that. Now, is Ohm going to go through $8? I don't know. You're probably asking the wrong guy. But if you look at this chart and then you look at this chart where you have Ondo on a daily basis, on a daily chart, sitting, right, inside of a triangle right at the apex. So when you get a breakout from the apex of a triangle, right, the closer that is, I mean, you don't want it to just keep going sideways. That breaks the triangle. But if you actually get a breakout at the apex, whatever way it breaks out, and, you forgive me if I assume that it's going to be higher based on what Ohm is doing, this means some kind of an announcement is coming. Like, you ever hear these guys in Bitcoin go, well, when volatility shrinks Slow, 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 slow. That means something's going to really, really, really pop off. Okay. Concluding the show. Antivirus. So good news, not good news, or good news is bad news, if you ask me. So it's my bag. I own this. Originally, I got paid to promote the token into tokens, and then I bought tokens. So I'm done getting paid to promote it, but I still have my tokens. Disclaimer, right? Now, I can tell you what I think about this. Good story. So these guys have an AI agent where they use public and private data. Come off the screen share. They use public and private data. So meaning everything that was, available about John McAfee in the public sector, and then information that they had or his people had privately was used to program an AI agent to effectively bring him back from the dead. Okay. To make a long story short, Twitter all of a sudden was like, oh my God, it's an impersonator. We have no idea what to do with it. So the main McAfee Twitter feed is fine, but they shut off the AI agent and they have to start over. This morning, the agent is back tweeting on the antivirus website. Then the guy who runs the project takes 50 grand of his personal money and hires some guy named Mario. Okay. And then somebody called Mario and said, oh, well, don't do business with these guys. And Mario took the payment and canceled the contract and didn't give any services that he promised. He promised podcasts and all this stuff. He basically rugged McAfee's widow, Janice McAfee, causing all kinds of consternation, causing the token to be volatile. Okay, back to the screen share between 20 cents and 15 cents, currently trading at 8 cents. Okay, it's kind of like Ski Mask Dog, like trading just below the support that you would care about. Okay, that's the redraw at 0.08. Kind of like this level, actually. Now, I am extremely convicted on this, and I personally, this is not what you should do. I personally am going to try to get all of this that I can, because there are ongoing catalysts here. And the thing that's funny is the bad news about that guy, essentially inadvertently bear posting the token by thinking he can, basically get away with taking somebody's money and not providing services, despite his massive following, right? He's short the token. I'm not going to give you the whole story, but, he's short. He bear posted the token at an 8 million market cap. Now, we know what can happen to these other coins like GoCoin, Bartcoin. I mean, you realize, and I showed this last night. So this is John McAfee's coin, right? He's deceased, by the way, killed by people, right, who didn't want him spreading his ideas around about like, yeah, we don't like taxation, and we don't like the weak dollar, and we want privacy, to say the least, right? Thomas Jefferson, Albert Einstein, and James Bond all rolled into one, not a joke. So you've got that, and the project added stuff like privacy features, like, you can get a SIM card and talk on the phone and nobody can hear you. And you can also get a gift card on that phone with this antivirus token. You pay for these services with the token. So you can talk on the phone and get a Visa card and buy something, and no one knows it's you. And no one thinks that's important until they do, right? Until some Silicon Valley creature comes and introduces itself to the world all by its lonesome on like a Times Square billboard, like in science fiction movies. Okay. Now, in case that's crazy for you, all right, that's fine. That's good. So here we have antivirus at 8 million market cap. And here we have my new favorite meme coin. Haha. Eagle King found this. We have Elon Trump fart at 9.5 million market cap. So like SPX 6900, they're trying to use ETF 500, as a catchy name to get people's attention, create a cult around it. Good for them. But I'm guessing that the idea of me walking around Las Vegas with a hologram of McAfee, because that's the end game, right? First they're going to have an agent talking on either a social media platform or on the website. Then they're going to have talking McAfee agent, so you can interview him and he can do podcasts. Again, the writer of the Declaration of Cryptocurrency Independence. And one day I'm going to walk down the strip with my little holographic projection device, and me and John McAfee are going to go out for the evening. That currently is worth the same as Elon Trump Fart 500. Now, I hope the market cap of this goes to 200 million, because the market cap of this goes to 200 million. Antivirus, in my opinion, is worth a lot more than that. So this is a high conviction trade. Now, why did I end with that? Well, I'm ending with that for a very simple reason. That one of the things you're going to need in this market, you're going to need charts, you're going to need research, you're going to need to listen to smart people, but you're going to have to believe in something bigger than yourself. That doesn't necessarily mean a president, although, the president is supportive. But I'm talking about like the whole future of humanity thing. Right? In other words, if you look at altcoins, you say, well, it's altcoins, then that's not inspiring. But if you look at some of this stuff and says, this is the rails of the future, right? Which again is something espoused by one of my colleagues, right? This is the rails of the future. And if you can think of it that way and you can get involved, whether that's Arrow or whether that's, I don't know, Polkadot or other plays where, you're like, I don't want to do that. Dude, you could wake up one day, if Bitcoin helps this market release escape velocity. One of the things that bull markets do, and this is kind of what, like, I woke up this morning and I'm like, all right, so the market's been ignoring good news for a while. And what happens if all of a sudden, like lightning strikes, like we had lightning strike on the downside, when ETH freaked out over tariffs? What happens if there's an inverse? Like you kind of wake up one day, either just before or just after NVIDIA. I kind of like the idea of just before. Like, oh, we have to wait for NVIDIA earnings to come out before we do anything. Actually, dude, no, we don't. No, we don't. What happens if lightning strikes well in advance and it's bullish and it catches people off guard, right? What happens? Like what happens if you wake up and Bitcoin is blowing through 110? Then you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I should buy, because every time it goes to 110, it goes back down again. And then it breaks out and you miss it. Now, is that what you want? Or do you want to imagine a much better future for humanity? And say they just marked all that down to such a degree that I saw a Bitcoin maxi take a victory lap this morning showing Trump coin and everything down 50%. So this show provides you with news. I would do a ton of TA if there was anything to do TA on, meaning there's not much price action because everything's going sideways. These times are periods where you ask yourself, can I convince my accountant to keep this coin? Okay. If the coin is from a cycle or 2 cycles ago, you probably won't be able to convince your accountant. But if your accountant says, oh, it's made in America, or, oh, you could put the future of the internet on this, or I can see how this might be on what I'm going to start calling today team privacy, right? Or this could protect you from AI and help you hedge your job, right? Or hedge human existence. Like, how can we build and own a piece of the next thing? You ain't going to get to own a piece of OpenAI. And if you do, they're going to be selling you stock in an IPO at stratospheric valuations. Meanwhile, the future of humanity is offered at a discount. And the question is, how can you get involved in new stuff? Like, Kaizen is good at finding new stuff, right? Where's the new stuff? Where's the new DeFi? Where's, DeFi and AI? This is all over the place, right? I think it's AI XBT, if I'm not mistaken. Where is it? So it's not when in doubt, zoom out. It's there is no doubt. It's the power of conviction. right? You have to say to yourself, do I believe in this? And if you don't, then get a copy of the Bitcoin Standard, right? Then start believing it. Everyone says, well, if you don't believe it, you should sell. You should sell after you talk to your accountant. That's how I look at it. In the meantime, you got to start asking yourself, how do I believe? And this is my final weekend advice. If your bags are down and you're rattled, read the Bitcoin Standard. If your bags are up, read the Bitcoin Standard. Then when you get done with that, watch any science fiction show you can, right? Snow Crash, I believe, is the Metaverse book. The Terminator, The Matrix, right? Anything written by Isaac Asimov, right? I read that as a kid. Science fiction is better research than research. That's from Red Phone Crypto, and he's absolutely right. So you got nothing else to do this weekend? Cold weather outside, bored? Dude, science fiction. Because at the end of the day, whether it's antivirus or ski mask dog or any other coin on the tech side, bear chain, this is about conviction. The people who made money, like Michael Saylor, held positions for 6 months underwater, 40% underwater that they believed in. Now, I don't think we're going to have to wait 6 months to start getting gratification because they've hosed everybody out. But now is the time to work on your conviction. That's it for the weekend market update. I will see you next day, tomorrow.